Hey everybody, like I say, quick check-ins and updates or whatever, but the big thing is there seems to be a bit of a plan coming together, which is really nice. And my mom wrote a word search. So I have something to kind of doodle with my brain, right? And I don't know if I showed y'all before. I think I did. The beautiful flowers that were sent to me by the family of the gentleman I take care of. And I don't know if you can also see the view, the windows, being able to see outside. That's pleasant. That color, whoops, when the sun starts to go down, the angle of the light makes the color of the light change, and it's sometimes a blush color or a pinkish color, and it really cheers my soul, which is good. My back is kind of screaming right now because I had these little tiffs with the doctor. I had just told my mom, my dad already left for a while, and my mom and I were sitting here visiting, and she was like, I'm so proud of you. You're doing really well, and not just managing pain. No, all these things that keep coming at me, and you know, the Chiron in Aries, but also the Aries North Node, and my wound is in Aries, and it's in 4th house, right? And so it having to do with the personal self right now, and just, it's been tremendous. And I said, Mom, this is the first time I feel relaxed. And there was a little bit of pain moving around, but there weren't these things coming at me of like powers that be, doctors and stuff, you know, holding out and giving me the care that I need, and being uncommunicative about that and holding up the process. And then my oncologist showed up, who's a lovely gentleman, and when I went through cancer from 2021, and was coming to check in to see, well, let's get you moved over to the other hospital. And I'm thinking, because that other hospital, man, you talk about getting overlooked and nasty and grungy, and also breaking up of the plan that was finally circling around. The wagons were circling around about getting the pain stabilized, and not just with medicine. They have a palliative care person coming who's going to help deal with coping techniques and stuff like that to also help through the process. And it was just, everybody was finally on the same page. I was like, Mom, it's harmonious. It feels wonderful. I'm excited. It feels like victory. I finally feel relaxed for the first time. And I was facing out those windows, and my back is turned completely to the door. And it wasn't but a couple of minutes before you hear it go snatch, rattle. And these are heavy doors, and ba-choom comes in. And right behind me is like, what are you doing here? We need to get you out of here. Your pain doesn't, blah, 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 blah. And I won't even get into all the words. It's irrelevant. But it was just like a storm of hornets zipping around me, and my mother's there watching, like, and I'm trying to be pushed off of the knowledge or the comfort of there is finally a cohesive plan coming full circle, coming together to be a great starting place. And I was like, that felt good. And so this other, I just kept being like, being checked and checked and checked, and because they also have misinformation as well, and not realizing that other things in regards to their care had been scheduled for the end of next week. And it's like, I'm not avoiding these things. They were scheduled for the end of next week. And so we were taking this time to get this managed so that I am strong and shored up for going through this next stage. And I said, I've tried to get the proper pain management protocol and care going with the 2 doctors who were in charge for the past few days. And I said, and they refused. I said, they utterly refused and kept blowing me off and scraping me off. And one of them's like, I'm not gonna, I'm pushing that off on the hospitalist. And so the hospitalist was trying to blow it off. I said, well, they already pushed it off on you. I said, everybody's gonna kick me out of here today. And that was yesterday. I said, in order to go have these other tests across town, and then nothing for over a week. I said, how am I supposed to survive that? So y'all seem to lack the compassion or the understanding that I have no more ability to process that massive amount of pain, and no more natural ways and breathing ways and whatever to help offset it. You know, there's no way to survive for 10 more days just through breathing and Tylenol. It's not working. And finally it stopped. And of course it didn't stop before I was full face bawling, my face buried in the covers, you know, in the seat of this bed, just bawling, hardcore bawling. And while it was going on, no one knew, and the tech came in and the nurse came in. They were coming in to get some vitals, and they're like, oh, we're so sorry, we're so sorry. And the nurse is like, let's leave, don't get it right now because they'll be off the chart and we don't need to have a record of something that's incongruent with what's been going on. So anyways, they left out, and I was shaking, and my spine and my back were just, and the pain was through the roof. And I mean, that's someone I admire highly. And they had no idea that all those gaps and cracks and all that neglect had been going on with the physicians. I told them, of course, none of it was to do with the techs and the nursing care and even the food staff and everybody else. And they were like, I didn't understand that. I have no awareness of this. And I said, no, you couldn't. You couldn't imagine it because you're nothing like that. You take care of everything like you're supposed to. And I just took them back to a memory of when I was going through treatment. Well, I'd already finished treatment, but I was still under care in March of 2022. And they were trying to get a scope or something done so that we could go ahead and get everything wrapped up and get my port removed. And got blown off. They got blown off. I got blown off by the appointment making. Finally, when I got there, they scooted me over to a nurse practitioner who didn't even address me. They just walked out of the appointment. I was left there for 30 minutes with nothing. And they said, well, I'll get with the doctor and then get back with you. And it's like, I had to wait how many weeks for this appointment just to hear that? And they didn't do any write-up notes. So when I showed up for my doctor check, he's like, so what'd they say? And I said, well, nothing. And he said, well, then let me go on my computer and check. And when he went in his computer and checked, he said they didn't even write up notes. They said that they would contact the doctor and there's nothing here. I said, well, then you get the gist of what happened to me. And so he got the direct number of the doctor, which they have access to that, right? And started calling the doctor to say, what's the report? What's the prognosis? How do we move forward on this last March 2022? They never called him back. So finally in June, it was handled. It was ridiculous. And so I just reminded my doctor of that. I said, you've got to realize there are two different worlds. You're this type of doctor and you handle things like this. I said, whatever's been going on over here is being handled like that. And I said, just taking me away to put me there isn't resolving the other 3 pockets of things that need to be addressed as well. And he's like, you know I wouldn't let you down. I said, I know, but I also know those aren't your areas that you get to address. And so we'd have to involve other doctors when we already have things in place to go. And he wasn't aware that appointments had been scheduled for much later on because he couldn't fathom that. So anyways, it was very shocking, very abrupt, and then ruffled feathers. And I was just like, oh, when he left. And my mom was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. It was like, and trying to tell the staff here, she wasn't ugly. I'm proud of her, but she did stand up for herself. You know, she had to stand up for herself. That's what's changing in your life. And that's that thing, y'all. I mean, shocking, terrifying, mortifying, petrifying. I don't know if you're feeling that with anything going on in your life right now, or maybe it could be ahead of the curve of a shockwave that's coming in. But I was like, standing your ground that way. Whoa, it was a lot. It was a lot. So, anyways, got through it. And it took a while because once that was cleared up and gone, then the tech came back in and pulled my heart monitor off. It was like, let me get a couple of your vitals. And they were acting kind of nonchalant. And I'm thinking, am I now the boogeyman? Because these are people that are always laughing and making jokes with me and being very friendly. And they're like, no, I just don't want to upset you because I know you're already so upset. And I said, you wouldn't upset me. You can't fathom what just happened. And my mom starts trying to tell her, and they're like, oh, I knew it had to have been bad to see the look on your face. I just know I want you to be able to stay relaxed and calm for a while. So you can imagine why I wasn't wanting to rush out of this environment where everyone is truly focusing on helping my body and my nervous system, nervous system begin to reset and come back to a healthy baseline, right? And I called for my nurse. Well, so there's a person who answers the call, right? And then they send for your nurse, and 15, 20 minutes passed, she didn't come. So I hit it again, and I was like, I want to talk to my nurse. Next thing I know, there's a supervisor in my room. And I'm like, is there something y'all aren't telling me? Are you going to remove me? I said, I wasn't fighting. I didn't pick a fight. Matter of fact, I got approached. All this was going on. All I did was stand up for myself, saying that I wanted to stay where there was continuity of care. And they're like, well, that's actually not why I'm here. I'm here because I just happened to have been right there when the call came in. And the person that took your call said that you sounded upset and asked if I wanted to go down there and handle it. And I'm like, okay, well, you can imagine how coincidental all this is. And I'm feeling really intimidated at this moment between the heart monitor being removed, which hasn't come off since I showed up at the hospital, and then now you coming in when I asked to see my nurse. And they're like, no, there's nothing wrong with your nurse. There's nothing going on. Nobody's about to eject you from the hospital. I said, well, we're living in the Delta days where, if somebody gets even the least bit upset, people are getting handcuffed and thrown off airplanes and things. I said, I wouldn't know. And I said, I was distraught. And they're like, well, can you tell me the whole story then? And not about that. They're wanting to know the whole story of the last 4 months, that in April to May, June, July, August. Wow. May, June, July, August. 4.5 months. And I said, I'll just try and hit the high points, because I said talking about it is not fun. And so anyways, they're like, oh, that does stink. We need to figure out something about that. And I'm like, well, you asked, so there it is. I said, I just need to know about my nurse, and were y'all secretly about to release me and no one's telling me? And they're like, not at all. Everything is just fine. So a little while later, my nurse came in and she hugged me and kissed me on the head. And she said, Joy, you good, you good, you good. We love you. It's okay. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And I'm just now starting to breathe again. This happened, I don't know, 2.5 hours ago. And my mom was like, thank God your dad wasn't here. She said he probably would have been balled up on the floor over there, because that was so intense that he might not have even handled it. And I'm thinking, well, he might have handled it, but no, that wouldn't have been good for any of us. So standing your ground, to what intensity, what level, I'm not sure, friends, and hopefully not for you. Hopefully it'll come that you'll just speak the clarity and the easy route up front, and maybe like, nope, we're not doing it. I want to stay here and get all pampered and taken care of, and then we'll go handle that. But those weren't the first thoughts in my mind. The eruption had already occurred, right? And thus clean up aisle 7. So, but my mom says she's proud of me, and I know what she means. I'm experiencing that and witnessing how that's really all tied together. So here we are, Wednesday evening, and that's where things are at and how they're going. So I don't know whether I'll post this tonight or tomorrow. I'll look at the feed and see what I feel like doing, because my back is starting to get quite uncomfortable. All that neglect and having to discuss those things and bring them forward, man, caused some intensity here. So anyways, I love you guys. I'm wishing you well. I'm hoping you, praying you through your Aries Chiron wound. I could say North Node, but it really is about Chiron being all in there and becoming the healed healer that doesn't keep having to come from a certain place in order to reduce itself or restrict itself or shrink itself back, but to live and be and continue on being in the midst of who you are. So if you do me a favor and hit that like button before you go, I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you and chatting with you in the comments down below. I love you.